Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello, Democrats. Yeah, thank you for that. I can hear you. I can hear that there are some wonderful people tapping their glasses. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Rosa Colquitt. Yeah. Ah, how wonderful of you. I am the chair, the very, very proud chair of the Democratic Party of Oregon. And when I'm not too groggy, I wake up every day grateful beyond words that you elected me and you are giving me the opportunity to wake up every day serving as the chair of your Democratic Party. And I wake up thinking about ways that I can be a better chair, ways that I can be a servant leader to you, and ways that we can elect more Democrats, more progressive Democrats, and how we can beat the heck out of the R's and everybody else. So it is an honor to serve you. Truly it is. I would like to thank you so much for being here. Welcome, 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 everybody. You're the best of Oregon, the best of Portland, from wherever you journeyed this evening to be here with us tonight. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome to the stage Kathleen George, Tribal Council member from the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. She has a few words. Yes, thank you. Come forward. Thank you so much. And please let us know, just by a show of hands or anything, anytime our voices drop and you can't hear us, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. I am so glad to see all of you here tonight as we gather to eat, to drink, and to celebrate another year of partnerships that deliver real benefits to all of our communities. I'm Kathleen George, Tribal Councilwoman for the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. And tonight, I welcome you on behalf of the tribes of this place that we now call Portland. The Multnomah, the Wallala, and the Clackamas Chinook seeded this beautiful valley in the Treaty of 1855. Tonight, the descendants of these tribes, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, welcome you and join you in working to build a better future for all Oregonians. You know, I believe that it's always good for us to begin our gatherings by remembering these foundations, because when we are rooted in the history and the culture of a place, then we are much more likely to see the right path forward. But tonight is primarily a celebration. So let's get started, shall we? So right now, I'd like you to turn to person on one side of you and say, "You look fabulous." Well, now don't get too carried away. We do have other speakers coming. And you do. You do. You all look fabulous. And so now I want you, I have further instructions. All right. That was excellent and very enthusiastic. I appreciate that. But now you need to turn to the person on the other side of you and say, "You make Oregon cocktail wear look good." All right. You always have, you know you're dealing with danger when you ask a room of Democrats to compliment each other. All right. So ladies and gentlemen and all of our friends, tonight I hope that you have a fabulous evening. I hope that you meet somebody new. And I hope you leave inspired by the good work that's underway to make a better Oregon. Hayumasi.
Councilwoman, thank you so very much. I would now like to welcome Rachel Karina to the stage to ask her to sing for us the national anthem. And if convenient for you, only if convenient for you, would you please stand? Rachel, welcome.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched as with garlandly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was simply beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, sometimes chairs get to have a little bit of chair's privilege, and I'm going to go out of order a little bit on the program. Hang with me a little bit. Hang with me a little bit. We have someone with us who is very special. He is so special to all of us, but he is so special to me. Here you're going to hear some of my biases. He is so insanely special to me. It is my honor to announce the winner of the Wayne Morse Award for Integrity and Passion tonight. We celebrate, and I'm so grateful that he is with us because he has a very special family event tonight. And instead, he is here with all of us, honoring all of us as we honor him. And that is Congressman Blumenauer, who recently announced, yes, that he is retiring after 50 years of service to Oregonians. Yes. So I can see he's special to all of y'all, too. Congressman Blumenauer began his career as one of the youngest legislators in Oregon's history, with a track record spanning from state house to county commissioner to Portland City Councilor, he is nationally recognized for his advocacy for livable communities, something that all of us want. In the U.S. House of Representatives, he champions affordable housing, health care access, gun violence prevention, labor rights, fair wages, voter protections. Congressman Blumenauer co-authored elements of the Green New Deal, pushed for climate emergency declarations, and introduced the Climate Resilience Act to bolster community resilience against climate disasters. As a senior member of the Ways and Means Committee, he prioritizes equity, ensuring all Oregonians have opportunities for health and happiness, something we all want, happiness. As the founder of the Congressional Bike Caucus, which was founded 28 years ago, Congressman Blumenauer has been one of the single most effective champions of the movement to build bicycle infrastructure across the country. Because of his leadership, yes, we now see historic federal investments going toward building this key infrastructure, a major, major step in building a low-carbon, equitable future for all of us. On behalf of the Democratic Party of Oregon, I am pleased to present this award to Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Congressman Blumenauer, will you come forward to accept this award?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very much. People have been so nice since I announced my retirement. And those are just the people running for the 3rd Congressional District. I have said, not entirely tongue-in-cheek, if I'd known people would have been that nice to me, I would have retired years ago. And the last time I said that, somebody said, damn right. This is a very meaningful award for me. You kind of collect them in Congress, as you know. It's a price of longevity and showing up. But this means a lot to me. The notion is, I look around this room, I can think of about a dozen people that I would have nominated. The courage that Senator Merkley has illustrated that helped turn legislative politics in this state around. When we were celebrating Nancy Pelosi's victory, Jeff, in the trenches against all odds, pulled that off, and it turned politics, I think, in a definite positive way for years to come. And he, of course, continues his service to us all in the United States Senate. Our governor has done an amazing job, surviving one of the most difficult races we've seen in generations here, hit the ground running, and we're all the better off for it. And demonstrating her commitment to the entire state of Oregon. But I particularly appreciate that she's taken time to help us pull things back together here in Portland. You know, she doesn't get any bonus points being governor of Portland in terms of in Salem, but she's doing an amazing job, and we're all the better for it. We've got our Attorney General, we have the President, the Speaker. I mean, this is an all-star cast who delivered for us in record time in the special session. You're going to hear a lot of speeches tonight, and I'm not going to drone on very long. But I just want to say that this award to me is very special. My connection to Senator Morse, his opposition to the war, and his willingness to work with us on the campaign to lower the voting age made an indelible mark on me. It gave me a sense of possibility that young people could make a difference in this state, and we formed an alliance that was really remarkable. 2 years later, I was in the Oregon legislature, there playing a role that was empowered by Democrats. Young Democrats actually put together an agenda that basically ran the legislature for a half dozen years, something that I am immensely proud of, and we all benefited from that difference. Senate Bill 100, transportation initiatives, environmental initiatives, consumer protection, remember when that was an issue? It was a very amazing time, and it set me on a course that changed my life. And it was as a result of the partnerships with Democrats, their strength, their commitment to justice, to equity, to fairness. And it continues to this day. Oregon is a beacon in a time of great turmoil regarding reproductive freedom. Oregon sets the gold standard. That model is more important now than ever. That's likely to decide the outcome of the presidential election and issues up and down the ballot. Oregon, you make a difference. Let me just say how much I appreciate the recognition, how much I appreciate the partnership, how I look forward to crawling back on a plane for 7.5 more months in the trenches. And then I look forward to coming back full-time to Oregon as a civilian, being able to work with you on these issues on a more direct form. But thank you, Democrats, for putting me on a path that made a big difference in my life, and I hope I was able to make a small difference in yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, and thank you so much for honoring our congressman. The next thing I'd like to do is to call up two of my colleagues, fellow officers. That's Nathan Schultz and Matt Keating. But before I do that, I want to recognize some folks, and I want you to applaud them. And those individuals are the people that are serving you your food. Please. Yeah. Absolutely. They're pouring your water, and they're doing everything they can, working hard to make this a wonderful evening for you. So Nathan and Matt, come up here and let's recognize some other very important people. Where are you? Nathan and Matt. Let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Democrats, it's not in the script, but please give it up for our chair, Dr. Rosa Colquitt. And it's not in the script, Candy and Brad, I apologize. But as Chair Colquitt mentioned, the workers who are serving us tonight, who are in the kitchen, who are working downstairs, who are checking us into the hotel, they're working on a weekend, Democrats. So I want to thank the union staff of IATSE, Local 28, and Unite Here, Local 8. Give it up, Democrats, for our workforce. Woo! And now, fellow Democratic Party of Oregon officer, fellow staffer in Salem, and future Salem City Councilor Nathan Soltz.
And fellow staffer in Salem and current Eugene City Council President, Matt Keating.
Thank you. Folks, I want to recognize our federal and statewide office holders who are here with us tonight. U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley. He received the Wayne Morse Award, and Nathan, you know, he used to be a city councilor. I'm just saying. Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Sitting front and center, Governor Tina Kotek. We are sad that you will no longer be serving, but you have been on the front line with Attorney General Keith Ellison, holding the previous administration most accountable, our Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum. Woo! Treasurer Tobias Reed. And of course, our other federal and statewide office holders send their regards and thanks and kudos to the Oregon Democratic Party.
And I'd like to thank all of our state senators and state representatives who are here tonight. Thank you for fighting for us every day in Salem. We make you so proud. We have tonight State Senator and Senate President Rob Wagner. Senate Majority Leader Kate Lieber. Senator Winsve Campos. And leaving us with a long legacy in our state's progressive education policy, you will be dearly missed, State Senator Michael Dembro. Woo! And my boss, the man who signs my checks, State Senator Lou Frederick. Woo! And the man who signs my fiance's checks, State Senator Casey Jama. Woo! And Matt, I think you might want to take this next one.
I absolutely want to take this next one. I want to give it up for State Senator, Senate President Pro Tem, James Ivory Manning, Jr.
State Senator Mark Meek. Woo! Out knocking doors for me earlier today, State Senator Deb Patterson. Woo! And one of my personal heroes, State Senator Elizabeth Steiner. Woo!
Speaker of the House from Lane County, Julie Fahey. House Majority Leader Ben Bowman. Representative from Salem, Tom Anderson. Woo! Representative Janelle Bynum. Representative Maxine Dexter. Representative Mark Gamba. Representative and First Responder Dacia Graber. Representative Zach Hudson. Representative Courtney Neuron. Representative Daniel Nguyen. Representative Hoa Nguyen. Representative and future State Senator Khan Pham. Representative Tana Sanchez. Representative Jules Walters. And now, point of personal privilege, Nathan and I would like to ask every elected official from local, regional governments to please stand and be recognized in your service to our cities, counties, and local governments. Thank you. Our guest of honor tonight, the Attorney General, former congressman, and I want to just let folks know on this little insider baseball. When the Attorney General ran for chair of the DNC, a little blue state in the Pacific Northwest got behind Keith Ellison in a big way. And I see Governor Kotek nodding. Every single one of our DNC members, myself, Travis, Tanya, Chair Dixon, Governor Kotek, then Speaker Kotek, AG Rosenblum, we stepped up, we held the line, we whipped votes for Attorney General Keith Ellison. Thank you, AG Ellison, for being with us here tonight.
And now for our Democratic Party of Oregon State Party officers, you've already heard from her, our incredible, holding the line, strongest in the nation State Party Chair, Dr. Rosa Colquitt. And our Vice Chairs, Kim Schmidt and Eileen Kiley. Treasurer Ashton Simpson, and our Democratic National Committee members, City Council President Matt Keating, State Representative Travis Nelson, and Michelle Risher. And to our incredible DPO Staff Executive Director, Brad Martin. Deputy Director, I see her just walking in from working hard, Candy Emmons. Political Organizing Coordinator, Ron Morgan. Data Director, Jonathan Rudolph. Development Director Claire Hubler-Curtis. Compliance Director Amelia Manlove. Digital Director Eric Smith. Deputy Development Director Nagar Hosseini Nasab. Deputy Operations Coordinator Alex Schaefer. And the newest member of our staff constituency organizing coordinator, Precious Hodges. And of course, a big thank you to all of our volunteers tonight. Thank you.
Who here has knocked on doors or made phone calls or donated your time and resources to a campaign this 2024 election season? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. In addition to the volunteer leaders and grassroots donors, Nathan and I would like to thank two very special sponsors. First, Morel Inc. The sheer amount of resources that I am paying to Morel Inc. We thank you for your support of the Democratic Party of Oregon. And thank you, Scott and Shauna Ballo, who have donated our beautiful program that's at your seat tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'd like to express our gratitude for a very special group of Democratic donors whose dedication to the Oregon Democratic Party continues to be an invaluable asset as we fight for our shared progressive values all across our state. If you're a member of one of these donor groups, please stand as we recognize you. President's Council members who give the major investments to make sure we have the building blocks of our organizing and outreach programs. If you are a President's Council member, please rise. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Stay standing and be joined by our Capitol Circle, folks who stretch to make sure that our Democrats are armed with the tools to win on the ground. Capitol Circle, please stand. And joining the Capitol Circle and President's Council, grassroots Democrats, hundreds of folks who are in this room who give each and every month to build the strongest voter outreach campaigns possible. Thank you, grassroots Democrats.
And now, a sincere thank you to the sponsors of this event, our premier sponsors, United States Senator Ron Wyden, UFCW Local 555, NGP Van, and our platinum sponsors, the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians, OFNHP, IBW Local 48, SCIU Local 49, Target Smart, Oregon Ranked Choice Voting, Morel Inc., and Ed and Jody King of King Estate Winery.
If there are any Hillsborough Hops or Eugene Emeralds fans in the gala tonight, I apologize in advance. I have a background in announcing baseball. So if it sounds like our gold sponsors are a starting lineup of those who chip in to elect Democrats, that's what's happening. Leading off, U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley. Batting second, Governor Tina Kotek. Batting third, U.S. Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Cleanup, U.S. Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici. In the interest of time, I'll speed through the lineup and recognize U.S. Congresswoman Andrea Salinas. My Congresswoman in Lane County, representing the 4th Congressional District, U.S. Congresswoman Val Hoyle. Treasurer Tobias Reed. State Senator Elizabeth Steiner. State Representative Dan Rayfield. Espousal Strategies, Blue States PAC, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. Future PAC, Joint Council of Teamsters, number 37. SDLF, the Senate Democratic Leadership Fund. SMART ID, UAW, Local 492 and Region 6. Bright Blue Inc., OPAD Consulting. Pivot Group, Stone's Phones. Winning Mark, Jeff Goodman. Sushila Jayapal.
And our silver sponsors, Labor Commissioner Christina Stevenson. Senate President Rob Wagner. Senate Majority Leader Kate Lieber. State Senator Jeff Golden. State Senator James Manning Jr. State Senator Lou Frederick. State Senator Deb Patterson. Our new House Majority Leader Ben Bowman. State Representative Rob Nose. Eddie and Gregory Prasadore. Oregon State Building and Construction Trades Council. Northwest Labor Council AFL-CIO. Act Blue, C&E Systems, Elevated Campaigns, Winning Connections, Tim Claremont, and Mary Lou Henrich.
With just 38 days. 38 days, Democrats, until our primary election. Nathan and I bid you adieu. Get out the vote, vote early, and volunteer often. And before we leave, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank our sponsors, King Estate Winery, for delivering the libations at your table. And we're now going to turn it over to a video message from our wine sponsor, King Estate, and you'll hear from Dr. Colquitt shortly remarking on the service of Senator Ron Wyden. Thank you, Democrats.
Thank you.
So, Nathan and Matt, thank you so much for that. I call it a raucous. Thank you for that, for those recognitions. We really appreciate that. So now it's time to, we have another award. We call this award the Klonowski Award for Civic Engagement. And in 2024, we're going to give this award, and it is very deeply special this year. We're going to be giving the Klonowski Award to Pat and Carlene Riley. And it's very special this year because we will be giving the award to Carlene. We lost her this year, and we will be giving the award to her posthumously. Each year we give out the Klonowski Award for Civic Engagement to an outstanding leader in our community. This year, however, we're going to be giving the award to a couple, Pat and Carlene Riley, who have served Oregonians, and especially those in Lane County, for decades, really decades. Unfortunately, Carlene passed away in January, and her memorial was actually today in Lane County. So we will be presenting Pat Riley with this award in their honor at a dinner in Eugene in September. Tonight, I have asked Celine Swenson Harris, chair of the Democratic Party of Lane County, who has known Pat and Carlene since she was a teenager, to issue some remarks. So if Carlene is here, would you come forward and say a few words about her? Yes, she is here. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, folks, this is a slightly emotional one. I am honored to have this opportunity to say a few words about the amazing contributions that Pat and Carlene have made over their decades of civic engagement in Lane County, in their neighborhood, statewide. I asked Pat what he would like me to share about Carlene in response to this award, and he sent me an email saying, I believe that Carlene would be overwhelmed to realize the magnitude of her civic engagement had on the communities she served. She was devoted to the many long-term relationships she nurtured over the years. Certainly her community service represented what she believes. That is, that ordinary citizens in a democracy have an obligation to enhance the well-being of their communities. Carlene showed up for this belief and this idea in her work, both through the state and local Democratic parties and as a leader in her neighborhood. What I'd like to talk about is Carlene's amazing skill as an organizer, her ability to bring people together around a shared goal to improve our community and to ensure that we were all welcomed in the effort to make positive change. We all know Carlene as someone who was willing to put in the work for projects both big and small. She chaired the DPO's Credentials Committee for 12 years. She ran the sign-in table for countless Democratic Party of Lane County events. And every election, she talked to her neighbors, recruiting volunteers, lawn sign locations, bringing people along to the meetings. And she knew how to make sure that new volunteers felt welcome to join us in this work. As I sat down to write this, I looked through dozens of emails from Carlene, sharing encouragement, ideas, advice for the Democratic Party of Lane County. And that's something that I know that she provided to so many of us as we stepped into new roles and new responsibilities in this organization. She was truly there for people. She knew that by encouraging her neighbors and encouraging new volunteers to join in her work, that she could magnify her impact. And she organized throughout Lane County for better outcomes for our community, both supporting local candidates and through issue advocacy. She was incredibly active in her neighborhood, organizing for safer transit and transportation, and successfully mobilizing her neighbors against an attempted takeover of her neighborhood association by far-right radicals during the pandemic, all through sending out her Carlene newsletters. She empowered to join others in living up to their potential as active members of our community, as forces for positive change. And we are incredibly fortunate to have known her and to have the opportunity to learn from her and Pat about the impact that each of us as individual people can have on our communities together. Thank you all.
Thank you so very much, Celine. And I'm telling all of you, if you had a chance to know Carlene Riley, you had a wonderful opportunity in life. I certainly did. As a member of the Credentials Committee for the DPO for years, she was chair and I was vice chair, and that was quite an opportunity to work with a beautiful, lovely human being, quite talented and skilled and gentle. She was a gentle human being, and I was so grateful to work with her. Okay, next on our agenda, I'd like to bring up we have another wonderful vice chair. Her name is Eileen Kiley, and I'd like to bring her to the stage to introduce our state president, Rob Wagner. Eileen, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
You look so good.
Notice that we are color coordinated tonight.
A little bit.
We actually sent text. So, and thank you to all of you who got the memo. And I always have to raise the microphone after Rosa. My name is Eileen Kiley. I am the vice chair of the party, and yes, I am the #1 fangirl in the DPO of our Senate President, Rob Wagner. This is about the 3rd or 4th time I've gotten to introduce him at a DPO event. You'd think somebody would learn. His staff did get smart this time, and they sent me no less than 2 copies of his bio. I got speaking notes. We got a bio here. There's a real strong emphasis on staying on script, which is kind of hard for me to do. So I'm going to point out there's a lovely bio in your program on Senator, and I would like to reiterate 2 of the strongest qualifications that he has for being our Senate president. #1 is his strong union background, and number two is his family's dedication to education. Except that I learned from the bio his staff gave me, he has a black sheep brother who's a park ranger. But the reason I am the #1 fangirl is not because Rob recruited me to run a race in 2020 that all of the Portland pundits said I couldn't possibly win. It is that he looks for the long term. He actually has 3 core principles as his management, core beliefs: that good ideas come from anywhere, that his door is open, always open, and that there's always room for kindness. But the reason I love Rob is because he knows that politics is a long-term game. He shepherded us through a 42-day shutdown, and let's be aware that after that shutdown, Rob is still standing and Tim Knope ain't. So he had the long game when he was looking at Senate District 27 in 2020, and I promise you, for all of the Democrats of Deschutes County, that Senate District 27 will be Democratic on November 5th. We're gonna get it done. And one other issue I really want to thank Rob and Senator Kate Lieber and Senator Lou Frederick on is an absolutely revolutionary idea that our state constitution should include abortion rights, marriage equality, and the right to trans health care. And unfortunately, we were not able to get that done in 2023 because of the walkout. But the important thing is that we've set the table for the next session to make that happen. And this will set Oregon again as a leader, and that looking forward so that we can set an example for the whole nation. That is the type of leadership we have come to expect from Rob, and that's why I am proud to be his #1 fangirl, and please welcome him to the stage.
Oh, thank you to Eileen Kiley. Eileen, I'm going to be taking you everywhere I go to give that incredible introduction. And look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Democrats, you're all spiffed up. You're all spiffed up. You're looking good. You're looking good. When I was thinking about this evening with Wayne Morse, I was thinking about 2 words: celebration and action. This is one heck of a celebration. How many of you have been to the Oregon Summit in Sun River? Anyone been? A few people? Not so much this side of the room. So let me tell you, I've had a chance to speak there 3 times in the past 5 years. Usually, they give legislative leadership the chance to speak on Sunday morning. Sunday morning. Democrats, 2 nights of, let's just say, frivolity. Sunday morning. Sunday morning is a time for early risers and those who haven't gone to bed, where your morning gift at your table is Alka-Seltzer. And 2 years ago, I hit the big time. I got on to the Saturday night show, and I would come up right after United States Senator Jeff Merkley. Now, Jeff Merkley is one of the most thoughtful, intentional public servants. And that evening, he began an academic dissertation on the history of democracy, beginning, I believe, with a Magna Carta. What I didn't realize that evening is that Senator Merkley was presenting the first chapter of his new book, and he was filibustering me. If you haven't seen this is available at Powell's. This is $27.95. Thank you, Emily, for picking that up for me today. Tonight, I'm hoping he will sign my book. Jeff, I want a cut of the royalties. But this is why we celebrate. We celebrate our members of Congress. We celebrate our U.S. senators. Thank you so much for everything you do for us in Washington, D.C. We try to be good partners here in the state legislature. And together, and you've seen it in the room tonight, we celebrate your Oregon legislators. In the past 2 years, these dedicated public servants have passed hundreds of bipartisan bills, including responding to Governor Kotek's emergency order with the largest emergency housing investment in Oregon history. She put it out there. Legislators, you partnered with her and you got it done. Now, it used to be that I felt that states were laboratories of democracy. Now, as we've seen across the country, legislatures have become bulwarks of social justice. And your legislators live that ethic every single day. We heard a little bit earlier, following the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe. Your Oregon legislatures, with grit and determination and unity, stood fast. 6 weeks while Republicans and the Senate sacrificed their careers, your legislators passed the strongest abortion rights legislation in the United States and codified the strongest gender-affirming care. They got it done. And your legislatures, just 1 month ago, in 32 days, had the most successful and bipartisan short session in Oregon history, stepping up to address the drug crisis and housing and child care for working families and campaign finance reform and investment in our arts to juice and bring back downtown Portland and environmental protections. It is a celebration of the work that you do. I am honored to be able to work with you every day. Finally, in terms of celebration, there's one more person that I'd like to offer a celebration award to tonight. This person is not on any ballot. A lot of people are running for other offices or running for re-election. This person is not. After 16 years of distinguished service, this is his last Wayne Morse dinner as an elected official. He is a champion for education and for the environment, and he's one of the finest public servants. He's one of my best friends. He's sitting with my wife, Lori, tonight. Please join me in celebrating and give a standing ovation to State Senator Michael Dembro. I have a feeling he did not know I was going to do that. There will be payback. Finally, this event is also, we talked about celebration, we need to talk about action. And I want to do something, and I know I'm going to lose the room. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask you to do it in 30 seconds or less. I want you to find one person at your table, just right next to you, and pull out your cell phone. Half of you already have your cell phones right now under the table anyway. And I want you to take a selfie. Pick one person, take a quick selfie. Just pick it out, hold it up. Just the two of you. Pull it out. I'm going to lose room. 30 seconds. Here we go. I love it. Make it fun. Make it fun. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. You should have been able to do it. Now, here we go. Here we go. I'm bringing you back. I'm bringing you back. Folks, at the end of this event, I want you to text these photos to each other because this is your accountability buddy. Yes, that's right. This is your accountability buddy. Democrats, this fall, and I know it's a long way away, we need you and your accountability buddy to commit to 2 door shifts to help Democrats, these Democratic legislatures in swing districts. After you drop your ballots, in Portland, I want you to join us. Join us in East County for Chris Gorsuch and Zach Hudson and Ricky Ruiz and Wah Win. Join us in Clackamas County for Anessa Hartman and Courtney Neron, and let's hit the road. Let's hit the road with Eileen Kiley over the mountain and knock doors in Redmond for Emerson Levy, and let's bring back Anthony Broadman, because we are going to win the Tim Keynote seat. We are going to turn it blue. We are going to send Andrew Salinas back to Congress, and we're going to flip that 5th congressional district. With your accountability buddy, we just got over 500 volunteer shifts, Madam Speaker, Representative Bowman. Tonight, we lean into celebration and recognition. Tomorrow, we organize. We hit doors. We activate. Let's do this. Let's go, Democrats. Thank you so much.
It is not fair to follow him. That's all I can say. So, good evening. My name is Kim Schmidt, and I have the honor of serving as the vice chair of the Democratic Party of Oregon, and I'm also the Rural Caucus chair of the Democratic Party of Oregon. Thank you. Before we hear from Governor Tina Kotek, I'd like to take a moment to introduce a remarkable leader who has dedicated her life to serving the people of Oregon. On November 8th, 2022, history was made as Tina Kotek, along with Maura Healey of Massachusetts, became the first openly lesbian governors elected in American history. But Tina's journey to this groundbreaking moment began long before that. Born from a family who cherished hard work, education, and the pursuit of justice, Tina's path was shaped by the values instilled in her by her parents and grandparents who sought opportunity in the land of promise. As the chair of CD2 committee and a Jefferson County Democrat, I know firsthand that Tina is governor of all of Oregon. And absolutely. And she kept a promise to visit every county in Oregon during her first year in office. Every time Tina and I have spoken, she has inquired about the needs of rural Oregon, and at every turn, she improves the quality of life for my fellow rural Oregonians. You're supposed to clap at that. If you're rural, you're clapping at that. From her early days as a graduate student fighting for domestic partnership rights to her tenure as Speaker of the House, Tina has been a tireless advocate for those in need. Thank you. She's rewritten poverty programs, championed LGBTQ+ rights, and led efforts to combat climate change and navigate through unprecedented challenges like the pandemic. But perhaps most importantly, Tina understands the pressing issue of housing and homelessness. She knows that without a stable foundation, the dreams of many Oregonians will remain out of reach. That's why she's committed to tackling this issue head-on, ensuring that every Oregonian has a place to call home. So please join me in welcoming Governor Tina Kotek, a leader who puts people first, who prioritizes justice and equality, and who inspires us all to reach for a better future. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Hello, Democrats. How are we all doing? The cheesecake is really good. Not that I ate it already, but it's really good. It's good to see you all tonight. Thank you, Kim, for the wonderful introduction. Our rural Democrats are out there every single day talking to their neighbors about why we can be one Oregon together. I want to thank Kim and all the leaders in those counties where it's a little tougher to be a Democrat. When people worry about putting a sign in their yard. When people worry about telling folks who they support in communities, they do it each and every day, and I want to say thank you to our rural Democrats. Well done. I think it's always important at events like this to lead off with gratitude, to continue to thank the folks who are working every single day to make sure we have the state we want to have. We should all be thankful for what we have and what we're able to do every day in our beautiful state. I always like coming to this event to thank our party volunteers, our neighborhood leaders, the folks like the Carleens of the world who really know their neighbors and talk to them about what matters. And so thank you for all the Democratic Party volunteers who really just keep things going. Thank you. Because they are the backbone of the party, and today they are the backbone of literally democracy here and across our great nation. And there's another group of folks I want to thank. We have, I believe, some high school students, some college students, some people a little younger than me in this room tonight. I would not be your governor. I would not be the governor of Oregon if not for all the young people who turned out and worked hard for my campaign in 2022. Because they cared about their future, they cared about reproductive rights, They cared about climate change, they cared about gun violence prevention, and they showed up each and every day to knock on doors and talk to voters. Thank you, and thank you to the young people who are going to save us. So thank you so much for everything you do. And to the young folks in the room, we need you more than ever, because we know in an election year like this, people need to get out, they need to talk to voters, and people need to vote. You know, when I talk to other governors in other states, and we talk about what's at stake this election year with the presidential election, we talk about, will people show up? Will they vote? And I know the young people are going to be critical, our high school students, our college students, who are going to show up and make sure people get out and vote, because we must not take anything for granted in the extraordinary times that we are currently living through. When I watch the news and look at what's happening for my fellow governors, other women governors, Governor Kelly in Kansas had to veto a transgender bill that would have denied health care to transgender youth in her state. We look at what's happening in Arizona and listening to Governor Hobbs stand up and talk about that terrible, terrible return to the 1800s on the right to have reproductive health care in the state of Arizona. We must never take what we have here in Oregon for granted. We all must continue to work hard to keep the state we want to have. You just got to hear from Senate President Wagner. You're going to hear from Speaker of the House Fahey here in a moment. We have incredible leaders in the Oregon legislature. Yes, I enjoy being the executive of our state, but this is teamwork. We need a legislature that has strong majorities to live up to the values. And it's not only up to our Senate President and our Speaker, but to our caucus leaders like Senator Lieber and our new House Democratic leader, Rep. Bowman. They have a hard job, so please give it up for them, because they're going to keep the Oregon legislature blue this year. And you know what I love about Democrats? Yes, some of you live and breathe elections. But elections are a mechanism, they are a path to good policy and good investments and living up to our values. And when you think about the successes we've had last year and this year on the top priorities for Oregonians, getting people housed, helping people get off the streets, helping people who are living with addiction, making sure our students can read, making sure we continue to fight climate change here in our state, and many, many other issues, standing up for reproductive health care. That only happens when we have strong legislatures who do the work each and every day. So I want to say, as your governor, I'm so proud of our legislature and what they're doing, and they are going to work hard to make sure they have their majorities this election year. Because again, I'm going to say it again, we can take nothing for granted. We are a model in this country for what we do because everybody works hard. You work hard. That's why we're here. So this year, you need to support Democrats up and down the ticket. I know we say that a lot, but what does that mean? I do not want to be sitting on the state land board unless we have a Democratic treasurer and a Democratic secretary of state. Because we're deciding very big things for our environment, and I want to make sure I have colleagues sitting next to me. The path to taking back Congress runs through Oregon. You know, it's kind of nice to be popular. There's a lot of money coming, but we need to win these races here in Oregon because our country depends on it, our planet depends on it, and I know you are all going to work hard to make that happen. Because at the end of the day, we know what's at stake. We know that reproductive freedom is at stake. We know that our efforts to fight climate change are at stake. We know our very democracy is at stake this election year. And you know what? As the Senate President has said, we will do what Democrats do best. We're going to organize. We're going to talk to our neighbors. We're going to get people out to vote, and we will win here in Oregon and around the country. So are you ready? Are you up for it? We're going to do this? I have absolute faith in you. Thank you. Keep up the hard work. And thank you to the Democratic Party of Oregon for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. We're going to have Leader Fahey come up in just a minute. I think the governor is a little taller, so we had to lower this just a little bit. That's okay. We have, I just wanted to thank everybody. You've been really patient tonight. The program isn't that brief. But we have a lot to celebrate. I keep hearing that word, celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate. We've got a lot of awards. We've got a lot of recognition. We got such a dynamic party and so many dynamic people. We don't want to keep you all night, but there's just so much that we do at the Morse Gala. And we do have Senator Merkley with us tonight. But one person we don't have with us tonight, and I do want to, I think it's so important that we recognize Senator Wyden. He's not with us tonight, but we need to recognize Senator Wyden. Yeah, I see somebody standing up back there. I see somebody standing up. I appreciate the opportunity to recognize Senator Wyden, because if he were able to be here, he would be in this space and he would talk about his love of Oregon. And if you are an activist Democrat or even a partly activist Democrat, I bet you've been in a town hall with Ron Wyden. He is a true champion of progressive causes who has worked tirelessly on behalf of all Oregonians, as well as Democrats all over the nation. He has, again and again, I use the expression because if you read anything about Senator Wyden, the expression is always used. He has thrown open the doors of government. And I think that is an expression that fits Senator Wyden perfectly. He has held over 1,000 plus town halls, and I can imagine that number is really small. He remains an open door to all of his constituents. I know, because given the number of times I've called him. He remains a close connection to all of us. His deep love of Oregon, his being a true representative of our values, is reflected in his distinguished service and accomplishments as in the United States Senate. We put him up against any of all of the other senators in the entire Senate. Whether he's standing up for workers' rights, working to expand voter access, fighting for real solutions on climate problems, or defending the right for everyone to have access to safe and legal abortions, or defending the right for everyone to do what's right and represent us in a way that makes us proud to be Oregonians. We call him, and he has earned this title. He is our senator. Ron Wyden is our senator. Please stand up for him. Stand up for Ron Wyden. Thank you. I bet he's waiting over there. He's looking at me. I'd like to bring to the stage this time Senator Merkley. Just one or two comments about him. So excited to bring him up. But
we're going to waive the whole introduction and just say Thank you very much. So,
Are you ready?
yeah, I'm ready to roll.
Okay. One thing I want to say about him, though, I'm going to go back to 2017. Do you remember what happened in 2017? This was, I remember it very well. I was up, how many hours was that, Jeff? 15 hours and 28 minutes. 15, now do you remember? You do, don't you? 15 hours, 28 minutes. Oh, okay. You want to tell them, you want me to tell them? Okay. This was the time that that Jeff was speaking in protest. He gave a very long speech in protest of former Trump's Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. He took to the Senate floor at 6:45 p.m. on a Tuesday, and he left 15 hours, 28 minutes later. I was determined that I was going to support my senator. So I made sure that I stayed up. I had my little Bichon mix, and this little dog would fight me tooth and nail for the pillow on the couch. And as long as I had my head on the pillow, this little dog would stay awake and fight me for that pillow. I stayed awake the entire time, dozed off a couple of minutes, and he started barking for that pillow when I put my head on that pillow. And when I woke up, Jeff was still standing there. And so I think I slept 15 minutes, but Jeff was still standing there, and I still thank you for that. Nobody has his tenacity. Let's give him a hand. Thank you, Senator.
Hey, greetings, everybody. Well, in honor of Rob's former comments, we're going to start with the Magna Carta. And 15, I think I can beat 15 hours. Everybody ready to stay all night? I do want to start by introducing my partner in life, my partner in politics, Mary Soderberg, who's here tonight. Please stand up. You know, I'm not on the ballot, and Ron Wyden's not on the ballot, and Tina Kotek's not on the ballot. But you know what is on the ballot? Reproductive rights, and we need a Congress that can pass the Women's Health Protection Act. And labor laws on the ballot. And we need a Congress that can pass the PRO Act so workers can organize fairly. And health care is on the ballot, and we need a Congress that will defend Obamacare, defend $35 insulin, defend negotiating 10 of the most expensive drugs for Medicare, and expand that to negotiating every drug for every American across the country. Climate is on the ballot. Education is on the ballot. Housing is on the ballot. Equality is on the ballot. And we need a Congress that will pass the Equality Act. And I'm sorry to say that in a manner that none of us could have imagined over a decade ago, democracy is on the ballot with Trump running again with an authoritarian bent, with a determination to knock down all the checks and balances of our Constitution, to protest and say elections are unfair when they are fair. And I had a hat last election cycle, 4 years ago. It said, ditch Mitch McConnell, dump Trump, because we had to replace him with Biden, and save America. Well, you know, I'm going to say it again. Let's ditch Mitch, let's dump Trump, and let's save America. Now, to pass all those good laws for the foundations of working families, for workers, for the environment, for all of it. We cannot allow the Republicans to have a 41-vote veto called the filibuster. Let's reform the filibuster and put America back on track. We came 2 votes short of going to a talking filibuster that I've been advocating for years in January 22 to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, to take on and eliminate dark money, to end gerrymandering, and defend the ballot box for every single Freedom to Vote Act. And folks, that's going to be really hard. We have to win 8 out of 8 swing seats across this nation. Tough states like Montana and Arizona and Ohio, swing states like Nevada and now Maryland with the Republican governor running there. So when you have exhausted yourself doing everything you can for your local Democrat here in Oregon, I've got a list of 8 states you can go and help knock doors. And folks, I want to touch on what is the most divisive, difficult issue in America right now, and that is the challenge we face in the Middle East. And here's the thing, we may have passionate and different opinions on what should happen there, but can we all agree that here in Oregon we will stand against anti-Semitism, will stand against Islamophobia, arm in arm with our neighbors, defend them against prejudice, defend them against bigotry. And I do feel we all have to push for and pray for a release of the hostages, a ceasefire, humanitarian aid, a massive amount of humanitarian aid. And in addition, we need to break the cycle of hate and violence and have 2 states for 2 peoples in the Middle East. To have a Congress that can accomplish these objectives, we have to re-elect Suzanne Bonamici and Val Hoyle and Andrea Salinas. And in District number 3, we need to have a great champion to follow in Earl Blumenauer's seat. And thank you for being here tonight, Eddie Morales, Maxine Dexter, and Sushila Jayapal. Welcome and thank you for running. And we need to take out Lori Shavaz DeReamer and Janelle and Jamie. Thank you for running, and let's take one of them to the victory. Our nation is off track in a way I could never have imagined. Let's work together. Let's fight together. It's all hands at deck. It's every foot in the battlefield. Here we will build a better community, a better state, a better nation, and a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Merkley. Let's give him a hand, please. At this time, the night is long, but at this time, I thank you again for your patience. We really appreciate our senator. At this time, I'd like to ask our Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum, to come forward. She's going to be introducing us to our keynote speaker, and if I had to tell you all the things I wanted to say about her, I really would be here all night, but I do have to say one thing about her. Can I say that one thing? No. No, I can't say it. You know what it's going to be, don't you?
Say it really fast.
Say it really fast. When Ellen was getting ready for her third, she was going to have her third inauguration for the third time, that she was going to become our Attorney General for her third time. I got a call to make the opening remarks at her swearing-in ceremony. One of the greatest honors of my life. I had a chance to introduce the Honorable, what was her name again? Sugar.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Kamala Sugar.
Kamala Sugar.
Judge Sugar. Judge
Yeah,
Sugar.
Judge Sugar, who did the swearing in, and I got to make the opening remarks for her swearing in ceremony, one of the greatest honors of my life. So thank you again for that. And I'm so glad that we have Oregon's Attorney General to introduce Keith Ellison, our Minnesota Attorney General. So thank you for doing this tonight. Let's honor Ellen, please.
That was fast enough.
That was great. That was great. Let's hear it for our chair, Chair Dr. Rosa Colquitt. Woo! We love her. All right. It is an incredible honor to have been asked to introduce my friend, my dear colleague, and my hero, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Of course, none of us knew back in 2017 when then Congressman Ellison first began exploring a run for Minnesota Attorney General, what an incredibly capable and courageous Attorney General he would be. And that shortly after taking office, he would be tested in ways few of us ever experience. And he would rise so remarkably and successfully to the challenge as though he was born to lead us through that time of national crisis. Thank you, Keith. Thank you. Now, I am not his agent, but on top of everything else he does, he wrote a book, and this is his book. So I want you all to order his book. It's called, and he did not ask me to do this, it's called Break the Wheel, Ending the Cycle of Police Violence by Keith Ellison. And it is amazing. It is a great book. It's about leading the fight for justice in the murder trial of George Floyd, which he did. He led that team successfully, convicting former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who's in prison. So I'll just tell you a little bit more about him because we want to get him up here really quick here. Before becoming Attorney General, as I mentioned, he represented Minnesotans in the United States House of Representatives for 12 years, where he championed consumer, worker, environmental, and civil rights protections for all. As Attorney General, he has expanded his office's strong tradition of consumer protection. That's what we do as AGs. He's fought to lower pharmaceutical drug prices, hold opioid companies accountable for the deadly opioid epidemic, protect tenants from exploitation, protect seniors from scams and abuse, protect student borrowers, hold major corporations accountable for consumer fraud and deception. Does this sound familiar? This is what we do, and we do it together, and we do it separately, and we do a pretty good job, don't we, Keith? So, Keith, Democratic AGs, as you know, led the way from 2016 to 2020. And Keith, I hope you aren't going to have to do this, but I know you're going to be there no matter what. You're going to be there with our amazing colleagues no matter what comes our way. Thank you for doing that. It's really, really important. So Keith earned his law degree from the University of Minnesota. He's the father of 4 children, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Elijah, and a law student, Amira. He already has 1 lawyer, so that's 2. And one of his sons is on the city council of Minneapolis. He's got an amazing family. He is the quintessential people's lawyer. We're honored to welcome such an outstanding leader and a Democratic champion to our state of Oregon. Come on up, Keith.
Let's hear it for our AG, Ellen, everybody. That's right. And also, you guys might be wondering, hey man, what's up with that sling? Rotator cuff thing is fine, doesn't hurt, no problem. So we got that out of the way. So let me just say that it is an incredible honor and a privilege to be with you all tonight. How y'all doing? It is absolutely a thrill to be with Miss Rosa. You know, I know you're Dr. Rosa Colquitt, but for me, you're like another iteration of Rosa Parks or something. So, you know, so I got to call you Rosa. Let me say thanks to the Black Caucus, who was so nice to me today. Hey, and Senator Wyden, Jeff Merkley, you guys are awesome. Bless you guys very much. And let me just say, Oregon has 4 great Democratic U.S. representatives. Let's hear it for the Cliff Bentz, everybody. Hal Doyle, Andres Salinas, and did I get that wrong? Uh-oh, sorry about that. That's messed up. But I do want to say Earl Blumenauer. And I just want to say this about Earl Blumenauer. Every year he and I would argue about who had the best bike paths in America. And I want to tell you that often Portland had the best bike paths, sometimes Minnesota did, but Earl was always fighting for more, so give him a hand for that. He's a wonderful colleague. I love him, and I'm really, really missing him right now. Let me also say your governor. What a wonderful governor you have. Tina Kotek is a leader in our great nation, and she is just tremendous. And let me also say that Ellen, you are such a wonderful person to work with. You have been a leader in consumer choice. You've been leading the fight in hate crimes. And you are an inspiration for the Democratic Attorney General's Association, the Attorney General's Alliance, and president of National Attorney General's Association. Not only does Ellen lead here in Oregon, but she leads all over the country. So give it to her. Now, what I want to talk to you all about has to do with the fact that our country stands at a historic a precipice. We are at a moment in time where literally decades of women expecting to be able to make their own reproductive choices has been wiped away in an instant. We're not used to having rights and having them taken away, but that is what we are facing at this moment. We're in a moment when we have, right now, Jim Crow for gay people. It is legal in America to say, we will not make you a wedding cake if you're gay. We will not do a wedding video for you. We will not make a website for you. And you can say it flat out, no chaser. We live in a moment when, if you had a history of racial discrimination in voting, don't worry, because there's no pre-clearance provision in the Voting Rights Act anymore. And the 8th Circuit just issued a ruling where the Voting Rights Act can only be enforced by the government. And since 1965, over 200 instances of the use of the Voting Rights Act, only 15 has been the government. All the other 185 times has been the NAACP, the ACLU, institutions like that. Oh, and why stop there? The Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that after 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, and 70 years of disparities in every aspect of American life, that we have done enough to try to right the wrongs of the past, and we can't have affirmative action anymore because that would be unfair. So says the United States Supreme Court. My point is, friends, that we are, in fact, living in a moment that can only be described as backlash. Not only is the Supreme Court out of control and on the wrong path, in fact, a guy named Harlan Crow has his own personal Supreme Court justice who he takes on extravagant trips. But the fact is that if we do not do our duty within the next several months, it is entirely possible that the orange man can get even some more shots at the Supreme Court. And it's not just the Supreme Court, it's the circuit courts and it's the district court as well. So, Oregon, this bastion of blue, where you got 75% voter turnout in the last election. Oregon, that has nothing but statewide constitutional officers who are Democrats. Oregon, where you can control your reproductive rights as long as we can hold off Congress from taking them away. Oregon, which has made so much great progress in so many ways, stands as an island and also, yes, a beacon and an example to the rest of the nation. Now, friends, I'm going to tell you why it's so critical that you not only continue to do the wonderful job you've been doing, but you have got to put the pedal to the metal a little bit more. My state of Minnesota, we have in the last election about 80% voter turnout. Only a few points further ahead than Oregon. And I invite you to beat us next time. It would be a righteous competition because what it would mean is that more people would be reached out to. What I say to my friends in Minnesota is 80% big deal. What about the other 20? And I want to say the same thing to you. What about the other 25%? There are Oregonians who have not been talked to, not been reached out to, doors have not been knocked, and their homes have not been called. And I'm telling you that no TV ad, no mailer is going to get them out. To get them out, it's going to take a real live human being knocking on their door, calling them and bringing them out. To get them out, it's going to take you, because let me tell you, a TV ad, it's hard to explain to a TV ad that you simply cannot afford your husband's cancer patients and that the payments and that this disease that no one ever asked for is running your family into bankruptcy. You cannot say to a mailer, a glossy mailer that arrived in your mail, that your son has type 1 diabetes and the insulin prices are so far out of control that he cannot control them. You cannot do this with these inanimate one-way campaign techniques. And we raise money and we raise money, and across the nation, Democrats think the way to win an election is to ask very rich people for a lot of money to run negative ads against our opponents. I'm telling you, outside of a few states like Oregon and Minnesota and a few others, we are not maximizing voter turnout. I was in a state just the other day, which is a beautiful state full of great people, Texas. And I mean that. No, the people of Texas are good people, most of them. I was in Harris County and I said to my friends, I said, friends, your voter turnout is 17%. But don't get mad at them. I mean, there's a whole lot of places like that. It turns out that a lot of states are not red states. They're states that don't vote. And I ask you, how are they ever going to learn to vote unless you teach them right here from Oregon? By your example, you are teaching the rest of the country the way to win an election. And that is good old-fashioned door knocking, meetings in church basements, living room meetings, And you're doing something even more important than that, because in Oregon, you all just don't do GOTV and turn it up during the last few months of the election. I think that you understand something very important, and that is fundamentally, if all you do is focus on the election, and the last time anyone saw you was during the last election, and the last time anybody saw you before that was at the last election, people might get the impression that all you care about is the... And if people think all you care about is the election, all we care about as Democrats is the election, they're going to look at us as people engaging them in a transaction. What have you done for me lately? We have to break this, and we have to campaign not for the purpose of winning elections. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? We have to campaign because we're building a relationship with our neighbors, because we've got to hear from the people who we would represent. We've got to literally build community with electoral politics. Where else can you go up to a perfect stranger and ask them how they feel about reproductive rights, gun rights, except for within the context of election? If you tried that in the checkout line, somebody might tell you to mind your damn business. But if you talk to them about this in the course of the election, they might tell you a story that you will never forget and bring tears to your eyes. Elections give us an opportunity to connect with our neighbors in a whole new way. It must be based on relationship, and the basis of relationship is presence, showing up. You can only do presence. You can only do presence by being present. You can't mail in presence. You can't fake presence. And presence is not a TV ad or a glossy mailer, which people look at for about 7 seconds. It is a human being on the door who can listen and give full attention. And I want to tell you, the bottom line with low turnout in America is a serious problem. Most modern industrial countries, even not industrial countries, a lot of developing countries have higher turnout than the United States. Did you know that? In Australia, they make everybody vote. They'll fine you if you don't. But a whole lot of other countries score much higher than us in terms of voter participation. And I just want to say to you that the real reason for it is, I think, twofold. One of them is that Republicans have decided, as a matter of their strategic success, to suppress the vote. Let me just, and I know some of you all are thinking, yeah, voter intimidation, I know, Keith, gerrymandering, we're aware of that. The whole, the tricks and lies. They put out mailers, Republicans vote on Tuesday, Democrats vote on Wednesday. They do that kind of stuff. And, too few voting machines in minority districts, we know that. We know in some states that it is a crime to give people snacks or water as they're standing in the lines. We know these things. But you know what? That stuff that our lawyers, Democratic lawyers, are fighting all the time, I want to talk about stuff that we can do if you're a person who cares what you can do. You can go to that other 25%, but understand what you're up against. It's not that people don't care. It's not that people are lazy, and it's not that they cannot be bothered. In fact, they have active forces working against them. Let me share with you what Jeff Merkley's colleague said, Rand Paul. Rand Paul said, check this out. He said, the idea of democracy and majority rule is really what goes against our history and what the country stands for. That's what he thinks. How about Don Yelton? You may never have heard of him. He's a Republican in North Carolina. And in 2013, this guy, concerning a voter ID requirement, he says, if this provision is going to kick the Democrats in the butt, if it hurts a bunch of lazy blacks that want the government to give them everything, so be it. That's what he said about a voter ID requirement that would suppress the vote. conservative political activist, and probably the progenitor of voter suppression, a man whose name you should know, which is Paul Weyrich. Say it with me, Paul Weyrich. Don't forget that name. This guy, back in 1980, said, now many of our Christians want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have from the beginning of our country and are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the election quite candidly goes up as the voting populace goes down. This guy is he's a Republican activist thinker who has helped to design all of this ugly stuff that I just mentioned a moment ago about vote suppression. Shutting down Sunday voting, shortening early vote, all these kind of provisions that make it harder to vote because it is in their strategic interest to do this. They are trying to do it. It's not an accident. It is a deliberate, intentional, strategic initiative. But here's the other part of the problem. Remember, I told you it's two parts of the problem. The other part of the problem is that while they're trying to suppress the vote, the central organizing principle of the National Democratic Party and many state parties is not the expansion of the vote. We've got to change that. Minnesota and Oregon got to team up to change that. Because if we change that, imagine if we flip Texas. Imagine if we flip Florida. We could change this nation from here. Because let me promise you one thing, and you know what I'm about to say is true. There are some awesome, great people yearning for the rights that you enjoy here in Oregon, who live in Florida, who live in Alabama, who live in Arizona, who live in Texas. And we have got to figure out how we can be good neighbors and Americans to them. Now, let me tell you, the Republicans have a real serious problem on their hands. And I want you to think about the Republican problem. We think a lot about Republicans. Let me tell you, they got a dilemma. What is their dilemma? What they want is not what most people want. And the point of democracy is to provide people with what they want. What does it mean if what your set of priorities is something that most people reject out of hand? How do you win an election that way? You've got to deceive, you've got to divide, and you've got to demoralize. You've got to get people to think that I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm not voting at all because it doesn't really matter. You've got to get people to feel that they don't count. And if nobody goes to them and engages them, they just might well feel that way. It is important for us to understand why Republicans act the way that they do. They're not dumb. They're not stupid. They're just greedy and selfish. And they're trying to figure out a way to prevail, even though what they're offering is benefits a very small number of people. Yes, they are part of the problem, but the other part of the problem, friends, is us. Let me break it down to you like this. We know that most people believe that a woman should have a right to choose. We know that most folks who work hard should be able to earn a decent, livable living. We believe that everybody should have access to high quality, affordable health care, and we believe that all kids should get a quality education, and we believe that gun legislation should regulate that so we can not have a mass shooting every day of the week. And this is a kicker, and most people of all colors, most people believe that multiracial democracy is a good thing. And most people believe that a compassionate nation gives help and assistance to the poor and working class. Most people believe that. But if most people believe that, how are you going to succeed if you believe that rich people don't have enough money and everyone else has way too much? How are you going to win an election if you believe that there's something genetically superior about people who have descended from European immigrants and everybody else is inferior? Even most white people don't believe that. But what if you believe that? What if you believe that the earth is to be dominated and exploited and that it's going to end pretty soon anyway, so we can pollute the hell out of it? And climate change is BS. If you believe those things, most people reject what you think. So what do you have to do if you're going to win? You got to lie, you got to divide, you got to suppress, and you better be pretty good at it. Fox News is not dumb. Fox News is very intelligent if you understand the challenge that Republicans are facing. And so is Alex Jones and fake news. We laugh at it, but we need to embrace the fact that they're doing something specific and have an objective in mind, and that is to throw us off of our game. We've got to get a long-term cohesive strategy for success, and it's got to be based on an unbreakable bond between us and the people we represent. It's got to be based on listening. It's got to be based on presence, and we've got to be able to not just door knock. That's just the kindergarten of a fundamental turnout strategy. We've got to get our fundraising to the point where we're getting so many low dollars that, quite honestly, we will welcome big dollar donors, but we don't need them, and they won't be in a position to dictate to the rest of us what's going to happen next. Now, I'm not saying we don't want the big donors. Please, we need all the help we can get. But I am saying that we do need to have a grassroots fundraising strategy. I'm also saying we got to have a communication strategy that is relentless. Let me tell you, the fact, have you ever noticed that there really is very little dedicated progressive communications? Because MSNBC and all the rest of them, CBS, they call it the liberal media, but you and I know that they're not liberal. What they are is they're meeting the needs of their advertisers. They more or less say what happened, sort of, but they're not liberal media. Nobody who's actually liberal or progressive feels the media is liberal, but they call them that all the time. But if you look at the Republicans, they actually have dedicated conservative media that is absolutely relentless. We need more media that really does tell the story of the American working people. We need union-led media. We need somebody who is pumping out economic information, news you can use on a regular basis. We've got to have that. Now, let me tell you what happens when Republicans are committed to suppressing the vote and we're not crystal clear on expanding it. What happens is that we lose, well, we know, don't we? Because we lost, from 2010 to 2014, we lost 900 state legislative seats because we didn't have the right turnout. Turnout matters. You know, what we know, then what happened during that time? Stand your ground laws, fetal person-held laws, missed opportunities around Medicaid expansion, and more. The bottom line is, friends, you all have something special and important here in Oregon. 75% turnout? That's amazing. We got to package it and we got to sell it. We got to spread the word on how to do it. And it can't only be changes at the legislature. It's got to be an attitudinal change in every Democratic activist, that we can't allow any one of our neighbors to be alone and non-connected to what's going on. We got to go into the roughest neighborhood. We got to go into the communities where it's like, don't go there. We never win there. Well, let me tell you, in a lot of them red places, the voter turnout is abysmal. What if we operationalize the people who want to engage? I believe we could win West Virginia. Did you see the teachers striking in West Virginia a few years ago? You know, and here's the other thing about non-voters. They're younger than regular voters. They tend to be lower income than regular voters. And they have a higher percentage of people of color than regular voters. If we go get these voters, I'm telling you, most of them overwhelmingly are going to vote for our program. But we can't let them be left alone. And let me tell you, these things matter. I mean, you know, the fact is that I just said hi to Jamie McLeod Skinner, and I believe, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you ran, you lost your race for Oregon's 5th congressional district by 300 votes. Is that right? Well, 1,000 ain't nothing. And I can tell you that we have a legislator in Minnesota named Carrie Rauer, and she lost her race to the Minnesota Senate by less than 200 votes. You know, the fact is we can win races if we really focus on getting people who are not talked to. We put a lot of time into middle income, the so-called swing voter, soccer mom voter, trying to persuade people who you might never persuade. But the way you persuade people is you get them to believe that everybody is doing this thing. And how do you do that? You mobilize those 25% and those 20%. So let me just wrap up here because the hour is getting late, and I just want to say this to you guys. The fact is that this is not just a matter of some president who's gonna screw up some things. George W. Bush messed up Katrina. He wasted and exploited the goodwill of the world after 9/11. He passed tax bills that really just enhanced the rich. We can survive that, but we cannot survive violent attacks on the United States Capitol again. We cannot survive not 6-3 Supreme Court, but what about 7-2 Supreme Court? And every circuit court going righter and further to the right. We can't survive that. We can't survive the rise of the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis and the skinheads and the violent, dangerous street thugs that Donald Trump says to stand back and stand by. Remember he said stand back and stand by? I am telling you that this guy is motivating a grassroots hate movement which is motivated by not just racism, but some virulent anti-Semitism, in which they are making the case that black and brown people are too stupid to actually organize anything for themselves, so it must be the Jews, I'm serious, this is what they're saying, who are organizing caravans from Latin America. That is why they shot up Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh. That is the stated reason. And this virulent, ugly anti-Semitism and racism and sexism and homophobia and anti-union and all, you name it, he is an inspirational figure to them. We have to defeat him to demoralize them. And so my request of you tonight is, one, do all you can to shut these Minnesotans up about their voter turnout. We won't take it personally. We'll just get up next year and see if we can get it back. And we will, in our righteous competition, get more people involved. Understand that it's not just a matter of passing laws, it's a matter of changing our attitudes about how we relate to our neighbors. And the fundamental building block is the relationship and that bond of trust that we will build. And at the end of the day, friends, I am telling you, greater heights, higher heights are in store for our country. And I'll just close on this. When I ran for Attorney General, I had no idea that we were going to have a major pandemic. Did you know, Ellen? Ellen didn't know either. Maybe Ellen knew. I didn't. Right, every 100 years. And I sure didn't expect that a man crying for his mother, begging to breathe, would be murdered on the streets of one of our great cities. But what I say to my young friends is that if they didn't turn out the vote and show up and elect me, I could not have led the prosecution in the case of Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd. I tell them, I tell them that if there's anything that you think people are doing right in politics, they're doing it because you showed up. All of these folks, from the governor to the senators to the representatives to me and Ellen, the AGs, all of us are on the team where there's a captain, and that is none of us. That is the activist, the citizen, the person who knocks the doors and grabs the walk sheets. All of us depend upon them. All of us owe them a debt of gratitude. And I just want to say to you that your activism is going to save democracy in America. You and I might sit around and talk about what might be lacking in our democracy, but let me tell you, you will miss it when it's gone. And we as Americans don't have any real concept of what it means to live in an authoritarian dictatorship, but you go ask somebody who grew up under Pinochet. You ask somebody who's lived under a real dictator, and they will tell you that it's nothing you want to leave. People come to our country because they believe, is with all of our imperfections, that we actually have something good going on here. But it is not some blessing that dropped up out of the sky. We dug it up out of the ground. We fought for multiracial democracy in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. We fought for women's rights. We fought for environmental protection. Everything good about this country was because of the toil and the struggle of people just like you in this room. And I am certain that we're not going to lose it, because I'm certain that you will never let that happen. Let's get out there and put Biden and Harris and everybody back in office. God bless y'all. Thank you very much.